type of person would have a keg party during a pandemic?
Hello, everybody. So right now I am with Patrick Brown. So everybody knows Patrick Brown. We had been dealing with him. We had been interacting with Patrick. He is a very good friend for Bangladeshi Canadian communities, and not only Bangladeshi Canadians, to all Canadians, and especially a friend of Brampton right now, leading the Brampton city as the Mayor of Brampton. How are you, Patrick?
Very good, Rimon. These are challenging times. Yeah, these are challenging times with COVID-19, but we're doing our best.
Absolutely wonderful. But before anything, how is your family doing, Patrick?
Family's good. Theodore is good. Genevieve is good. We're, they're enjoying having their father. Theodore is enjoying having his father home more often.
Okay, perfect. So Patrick, if I may ask, lots of people, you know, the Bangladeshi community had been very close to them, and you had been also very close to Brampton, especially all the Bangladeshis over there. So they wanted to know a little more about you, and they all appreciate possibly some of the extraordinary measures you have taken. So I'd like to talk about that during the COVID, how it has changed life in Brampton, and especially when it comes to you leading Brampton.
It has changed lives. With the COVID-19, it's not just a health pandemic where we're seeing loved ones that are, we've seen fatalities in our city, but it's an economic tidal wave. And so in Brampton, we've tried to take a leadership role in helping the community. We deferred property taxes by 5 months to help people with the fiscal burden. We also brought in very stringent physical distancing bylaws so that we can get through this faster. Obviously, we don't want to see this virus spread, and we're really bringing in strong measures, fines that range from $500 to $100,000 to make sure that this insidious virus does not continue to spread.
Okay, perfect. Patrick, one of the things we noted, and I'm just going through some of the measures that you have taken, right? Okay, people appreciate, and especially in BCCB where there are lots of Bangladeshi Canadians, we saw that you had been quite strong in calling out people that stay home, don't party, and maintain the social distance. And we did see that you taking step, or your administration taking step in terms of partying in a backyard of a house. That has created some. What went through your mind actually? And I wanted to tell you, people that I have spoken to, they have appreciated the strong step that you have taken. $100,000 fine.
Well, my first response is, what type of person would have a keg party during a pandemic? And it's, the individual was only 27 and was probably thinking that everything was the same. But by his reckless behavior, he's imperiling the health of neighbors, of community members, of loved ones. And we simply can't have that type of reckless behavior. And it's why we've taken a very strong position in the city of Brampton.
Right. So that's absolutely good. And possibly that's a cue for every one of us, those who are listening, and during these extraordinary times, that we actually comply with the law. One thing actually that created a little bit of, I would say, positive conversation is your call for taking steps with regards to foreign trained doctors. Right. So right now, Canada is going through this, and there is a demand, and we know that there are lots of trained doctors coming into this country as an immigrant. And we have seen, what's your take on that?
Well, in Canada right now, there's 13,000 foreign trained doctors. We have 1,800 who passed the Canadian equivalency exams that weren't allowed to practice in Ontario. 1,800 doctors who passed all the Canadian exams to make sure they meet all the protocols, and they can't practice. And instead, they're working in packaging plants, delivering pizzas, driving taxis. And right now, our hospitals are overrun. They need the help. They need the helping hands. And whether you're a physician from Bangladesh or a physician from the Punjab, this talent we need to have in our hospitals right now. It's why we did this push to the province to really make sure that we get down to these barriers and let these people help.
Right. So, and in your opinion, I know that it's not within the jurisdiction of the city of Brampton only, healthcare being managed at different level. What can Canada do to actually ease this entry of these foreign trained doctors who you are telling ready, actually, who met all the requirements? What can Canada do?
Well, it's not Canada, it's up to the provinces. And so the province of Ontario would have to make sure they direct the College of Physicians and Surgeons that this is what we're going to do. And we open up new residency spots, because right now they don't provide residency spots, which is the way they block participation in the healthcare system. Right now, if you're a foreign trained doctor, you can't even volunteer. It's ridiculous.
Wow, wow. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree that. So thank you so much for taking that stance. And I think people in general, and I'll be very blunt about it, we appreciate, because that has been the call, that there is so much of knowledge sitting there. Let's use it. And it's an extraordinary time. Question to you. From the Bangladeshi community side, and especially from Brampton, they have been watching what you have been doing. Now, you have been working with different governments at different levels. How is it working with the Ontario Premier of Ontario, the administration? And if I may add, these citizens, we have been quite amazed to see how the leaders across different parties, they came together and sending one Team Canada message. I just wanted to know your experience working with different levels of government, especially the Ontario government.
Yeah, right now I find that everyone's working together. The pandemic, everyone recognizes the partisan differences, philosophical differences need to be put aside for the best interest of the health of Canadians. And so, I have regular calls with the provincial ministers. I have regular calls with the Government of Canada. The Deputy Prime Minister, Christopher Freeland, does a weekly call with the big city mayors, the provincial ministers, regular contact. And so that's encouraging. It's encouraging that everyone is working together right now.
Okay. Patrick, there's a question straight from your area, the Brampton, and Shumon, he wanted to know, like, as you see, look forward, right? Okay, Brampton public health or the overall system, what do you see COVID flattening what is the situation right now?
Well, we have over 1,200 positive COVID cases in Peel region, and we continue to see the numbers grow. The growth of the numbers are starting to slow, but we're still in the midst of this pandemic. And we have closed community events until July 2nd. So that gives an indication. We don't think we're going to be through this prior to July 2nd. We hope that we'll see in the summer some version of new normal, but there's always the possibility of having a second wave in the fall.
Okay, good. One more question from Brampton, from someone living in Brampton, Shumon Raman again. Do we have enough bed for COVID-19 patients? How many ICUs, ventilation? So in terms of the preparation of the healthcare system that you have, and we know that you have given call in the past for hospitals and things like that. So are we prepared? How are we doing at this point in time?
So I speak to Dr. Naveed Mohammed regularly, who is the CEO of the Osler Health System, and Dr. Lawrence Lowe, who's the medical officer of health. They're satisfied right now that we've got the capacity to handle the numbers. We have an additional tent at Brampton Civic Hospital, which we have not needed to use. That's sort of a surge capacity. And we're also looking at a temporary hospital where we have a convention center we were able to retrofit into a temporary hospital that it looks like we're not going to need to do that because the surge has not happened in the manner that we thought.
Question to you again from a Canadian, and the question is, okay, this is a personal question. What would be the first restaurant you would like to go out when this COVID crisis is over with your family?
Well, I would encourage everyone to do home delivery right now. There's some, our restaurants are hurting. There's some great culinary options in Brampton, so I would encourage people to do the home delivery. It's a great way to have your favorite foods while supporting these small mom and pop shops. I know this week my wife and I enjoyed Kanza, which is a South Asian restaurant designed and started by Chef Kapoor. That's in East Brampton. Last week we had 9 Queen, which is a Chinese food restaurant we ordered in. That's in downtown Brampton. But in terms of going out to a restaurant again and sitting down, there's some amazing places in Brampton, and I do look forward to being able to go out and enjoy a meal at a restaurant when this is all over. I think I owe my wife dinner at Aria, which is in the downtown. So maybe that will be our first stop.
Okay, perfect. And sometime we'd like you to come to a Bangladeshi restaurant as well to test the Bangladeshi cuisine. And
Anytime,
we
anytime.
okay, we'll look forward to that and we'll organize that. Okay, one question. This is like in hindsight, we know that everything is 2020, right? Okay, in hindsight. What's your take? Should we have imposed travel bans perhaps a little earlier, or you think that we have done well when we did that? And I understand that it's difficult to make a call. All the leaders, they can make decision based on the information available. This is a question also from a Brampton's resident that what do you think about it?
Yeah, I certainly believe Canada would have been better off if we closed the border sooner, if we shut down international travel sooner. There are lessons to be learned from places like Wuhan and South Korea and Italy in terms of you don't really get a handle of it until you get everyone to stop moving.
Okay, thank you. So Patrick, this is a different question, and you know, this is life goes on. It's not only COVID, or you have to face COVID for sure, but life goes on. So people have interest in what you are doing. You had been leading the opposition Conservative Party at Ontario, and people loved you, or at least the people that we talked around, or whatever the steps you took as the leader of opposition at that point in time, that touched many people's heart. We did not forget that it was you actually who invited the Bangladeshi community, and from my knowing, inside the parliament for the first time, holding the Bangladesh night. We also remember that due to COVID, we couldn't do that. You offered and continue to offer a host the flag of Bangladesh, and not only Bangladesh, for every country that you could possibly do in the office of the mayor and all. So the question here, people have interest in knowing you, in what you are doing, and one of the things they ask is, what is the difference coming from provincial level of parliament or politics, leading the province, to right now leading Brampton as its mayor and looking into the future? What's your...
That's a good question. I would say, having served at the federal, provincial, and municipal levels, one of the things I love about the municipal level is the closest to the people. So sometimes in federal and provincial politics, you deal with things on such a large scale that you don't actually interact with the public as closely. In municipal politics, whether it's the waste collection, whether it's the recreation centers, whether it's road construction, you're dealing with people day to day. Policing, firefighting, paramedics. These are services that affect people's day-to-day lives.
Absolutely. Okay. A little different tweak, So immigration community in general, they look at immigration is at a federal level, the policy and all. And they do think liberals are generally doing good, right? They do have thinking that Conservative Party of Canada possibly need to understand the immigration or the immigrants' mindset a little better than they do, and I hope they do. Now, you had been a leader of the Ontario Conservative Party, and what was refreshing for us to see that you not only connected to the immigrant community, you understood their understanding their aspirations and things like that. For example, called for the doctors to be there, right? Okay. Now, my question would be, while there is a critique that Conservative Party has not possibly done enough or not understood the way it should, but we saw you completely different when you had been leading the Conservative Party, where we found that your the whole party under you was more welcoming, right? Some of them, they want to see you back in provincial politics or federal level, right? And I know that it's future. I know you can evade this question, but yes, that is a question came to me, that what's the future of Patrick Brown? Brampton, it's best to have you, and we don't.
Well, right now I'm very happy in Brampton. My wife and my son love the fact that I'm home every night, and sometimes in provincial and federal politics you don't get that luxury. So I'm enjoying public service at a local level in Brampton, and it's a very rewarding experience being able to see through your work at City Hall that you can make a difference in people's lives, and I have no plans to change that in the near future.
So I know that you didn't answer that, and you cannot, but definitely we want you to take it that yes, there are people, they want to see Patrick making more meaningful impact, and we'll see where the future takes. One of the questions we have is, we know that just recently we had an issue with this N95, which was coming from US, right? Okay, and we took a, as a whole, Canada took a stance, and it was reversed. The PP is coming, N95 is coming. Why can't Canada prepare them? Why can't we manufacture them? Why do we have to rely?
Well, and I think that's one of the lessons, is that Canada was probably too reliant on supply chains from outside of our country and our province. For example, the fact that in Ontario we got our medical masks from Italy, the fact that a lot of our medical supplies came from China. I think this pandemic is going to be informative for the country in terms of recognizing that for essential supplies, there needs to be a domestic supply chain. And whether it is medical masks, gowns, gloves, antibiotics, I really believe you're going to see a change into how countries function. Before, it was really a global supply chain, and I think for essential services and essential supplies, you're going to start to see countries establish domestic supply chains, and Canada is going to have to do that.
Okay, good. It's refreshing to hear that. Well, one question about politics. It has been absolute pleasure to see how the different levels of government and also the different parties, they have been working together, fighting as a Team Canada, facing it, right? Do you think it's going to impact the future of our politics? In general, we the Canadians, we are known for our humility, we are known for our generosity and nicety, if I may say. Sometimes we do see in the political spectrum, there are differences, we do know. But in future, how do you see the current interaction at different level of government? Doug Ford working with our premier, you working with the federal, Ontario premiers, and every other level of government across the party, right? This is nice to see. How do you see?
And there's a lesson here. If the governments can work together during a pandemic, why can't they work together after? It shouldn't take an emergency to have collaboration and cooperation. And I've always found sometimes the partisan barriers that get put up, where a liberal won't work with a conservative or a conservative won't work with a liberal, to be unnecessary. I'd hope that we continue to see collaboration in the months ahead.
Absolutely wonderful. And I think everybody of us will take that lesson actually in future, because Canadians love to see all the parties working together. Patrick, I'm almost at the fag end of this interview. Just wanted to ask, so this will be obviously watched by the Bangladeshi Canadians, and you know about BCCB. And I remember our first interaction coming to BCCB Kids Day, and not only that, you offered to host it in Brampton, and someday we would like to take it on. When you look back, how is your experience working with BCCB and the community as a whole? Does it touch your heart?
BCCB is just such a great organization. Going to their summer barbecues the last few years has been very special. I've loved getting to know the families, just such wonderful Bangladeshi Canadian families. So yeah, I would love to have their summer event in Brampton because I want to show that the Brampton mayor loves the BCCB more than any other mayor.
That's a very nice thing. Thank you. And the Brampton Bangladeshi Canadians, a little bit, how are you enjoying your experience with the Bangladeshi Canadians there? And I know that most of them, empirically, they seem to be in love with you or your administration. And when you took a strong step, it was them, they were telling that, wow, that is what we should do, right? So that told us that you are not hesitant, to take strong steps when it is required. So any words for the Bangladeshi Canadians in Brampton, which is right under your jurisdiction?
Well, I would just say thank them for their help during this pandemic. Everyone's stepping up. Everyone's following the public advice of public health on physical distancing. The fact that so many people are helping out with the homeless shelters and food security and showing expressions of gratitude to our essential service workers. I just want to say to the Bangladeshi members in Brampton, thank you for your patience and your support during this difficult journey.
Patrick, last time I spoke with you, not during this recent flag hosting meeting, but before that, there was, we did invite you to visit to Bangladesh, and someday in future, we would love to see you in Bangladesh. Is that in your mind still?
Absolutely. I can't wait to visit Bangladesh one day. Obviously, right now, there's no air travel, but I do look forward to a point when when my family can visit Bangladesh, we've seen so many stunning photos, and it just looks like such a fascinating country that I really, really look forward to visiting at some point.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And here is the last message for the Canadians that will be listening to you. To all the Canadians, not only in Brampton, beyond, in Ontario and beyond. And I think your voice reaches every Canadian, and that's one of my goals. So to all the Canadians, as of now, we do see that, well, COVID, we are facing it. There are discussions around going on that whether we should leave this border opening and things like that. But putting that aside, what would be your message to all the Canadians?
That we're going to get through this as a city and as a country. That I know this is a period of adversity, but we will get through it. To keep the faith, and we are going to get through this.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It's a wonderful experience chatting with you as always. And I would, we all wish you do best, the very best that you can, and keep leading us the way you are doing. To your family, and I know that Theodore is officially a fan of Toronto Maple Leaf. Am I right?
Yes, he is.
Wow. So we have been watching you, following you in Twitter as well, or Instagram. So thank you so much for giving us time. I know that you're busy, so I wouldn't hold you back from your other activities. And this is the first time actually I'm interviewing someone who is in the car, someone is possibly Urge is driving the car. So to Urge and to your whole team, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So that was my conversation with Patrick Brown, the Mayor of Brampton. Now, a little bit about Patrick. BCCB, Bangladeshi Canadian community, and Patrick, we started our journey about 4 years back. We have been following his steps and watching what he has been doing. And we were quite pleasantly amazed to see all the steps that he has taken. In the past, he was the Member of Parliament from Simcoe North, if I'm not wrong. And also he was the leader of the opposition. He was the leader of the Ontario Conservative Party, and then moved on to become the Mayor of Brampton. He has been doing and still continuing to do a phenomenal job. And on behalf of Bangladeshi Canadian community, BCCB, on behalf of BCCB Brampton, and possibly I speak on behalf of all Bangladeshi Canadians and many, many Canadians, we'd like to extend our thanks to Mayor Patrick Brown. Thank you so much. Stay with me as we bring more good stories to you. All the best. Bye-bye.